You see, as we move through the seasons of our lives, something subtle begins to happen. Somewhere along the way, many men, especially those of us who have crossed into our sixth, seventh, even eighth decades, have been taught to silence a very powerful instinct. The instinct to offer genuine, meaningful praise. The instinct to recognize the extraordinary in another human being and say it out loud. We live in a world that sometimes treats seasoned men as though their words carry less weight, as if the wisdom they have earned must be softened, muted, made smaller to fit the pace of a younger generation. And yet, the paradox is undeniable, because while we are taught to pull back, to keep our thoughts to ourselves, the truth is that the right words, spoken from a man who has lived, loved, lost, and learned, can carry more force, more impact, more soul than 100 shallow compliments from younger men. But the words that matter most, the ones that can stir something deep, something almost forgotten within another, are often the very ones we hesitate to use. They are not loud or flashy. They are not crafted to impress. They are carved from experience, from truth, from an understanding of life's deeper currents. And because they are real, they are rare. Today, I want to talk to you about 3 such compliments. Compliments that, when spoken by a man who has walked through life's fires, can change everything. Not because they flatter, but because they reveal, because they see, because they recognize something in another person that the world is often too rushed, too shallow to notice. These compliments, if spoken with steady conviction, will not just make a woman look at you differently. They will make her feel something, something powerful, something undeniable. But remember, these are not lines, they are not tricks, they are gifts, and they must come from the truest part of you, or not at all. Let's begin. When you tell a woman, "You have a dangerous mind," you are stepping into territory most men never dare to tread. You are reaching beyond the familiar compliments about beauty or charm or cleverness, and daring to speak to something far deeper. You are acknowledging that her intellect is not just impressive, it is disruptive. It carries weight. It matters. And let me tell you something. For a woman, especially a woman who has lived a little, who has had to fight to have her voice heard, this kind of recognition is rare. Too often, women are praised for their appearance, for the ways they fit into a world that wasn't always built for them. But very few are praised for the way they challenge that world, for the way they think, for the way their mind unsettles old ideas, makes new things possible, calls forth a future that others are too timid to imagine. And here's a truth that life teaches us if we live long enough. Real change, whether in a person, a family, a nation, always begins with disruption, with the refusal to accept the way things are simply because they have always been that way. When you call her mind dangerous, you are saying you see that in her. You are saying she is not just intelligent, she is catalytic. And if you say it with the calm, unhurried certainty of a man who knows the value of what he sees, she will feel it. Deeply. Because women, just like men, carry hidden parts of themselves, parts they long to have recognized. When you speak to the power of her mind, you are not just paying her a compliment. You are holding up a mirror to her soul. And here's why this matters even more as we get older. You are not some young trying to impress her. You are a man who has seen things. You know the cost of real power. You understand that a mind capable of disruption is a mind worth respecting, worth admiring, worth standing beside. Most men shrink in the face of a woman's strength, or they try to contain it, fearing it will make them irrelevant. But a man who has lived long enough to know who he is who does not fear a woman's fire but honors it, that man is rare, and she will know it. When you tell her she has a dangerous mind, you are inviting her to show you the parts of herself she normally hides. You are telling her, without fear, I see the storm inside you, and I am not afraid. There is power in that, because deep down, every woman, whether she is 25 or 65, wants to be seen for her whole self, not just her beauty, not just her kindness, but her force, her capacity to change the very air around her. And when you call it out with quiet admiration, without flinching, you become a man she cannot easily forget. Because you are not just recognizing who she is, you are celebrating it. You are showing her that her power does not need to be softened or hidden to be loved. It can be seen. It can be honored. It can be desired. And in a world that often asks women to diminish themselves, that kind of recognition feels like water in a desert. But remember, it must be real. If you say it without truly meaning it, if you speak the words but your eyes betray discomfort or doubt, it will fall flat. Worse, it will feel like mockery. But if you mean it, if you see the brilliance in her mind, the fire in her ideas, the beauty in her disruption, then your words will land with a force that she will carry with her long after you part ways. Because real compliments, the kind that live in the soul, are not about admiration. They are about recognition. And when you recognize a woman's dangerous mind, when you name it without fear, you are giving her something rare. Permission to be fully herself. And that, my friend, is a gift few men are brave enough to give. Now, the second compliment. A compliment that, if spoken from the heart, strikes even deeper. You make me want to be a better man. At this stage of life, these words carry even more weight. Because when you're over 60, you're no longer a boy trying to find himself. You're a man who has lived through seasons. You've built, you've broken, you've triumphed, you've lost, and through it all, you've discovered one of life's greatest truths. Growth is never finished. It would be easy, almost expected, to settle, to believe that you have seen all there is to see, done all there is to do. But when you meet a woman who stirs something in you, something restless, something alive, you realize that the best parts of you are still being written. And when you tell her, you make me want to be a better man, you are offering her a glimpse into that sacred, vulnerable space within you that still believes in becoming. That is powerful. Because for a woman who has also lived through her own storms and victories, admiration is nice, but significance is rare. She doesn't need another man to tell her she's beautiful. She's heard it. She knows it. What she longs for is something deeper. To know that her spirit, her way of moving through the world, inspires something greater in someone else. When you look her in the eye and say, "You make me want to be better," you are not offering flattery. You are offering reverence. You are telling her that her very existence calls something higher out of you, not because you are lacking, but because with her you see new mountains worth climbing. And that changes everything. Because at 60 or 70 or beyond, the world often whispers that it's too late to change, too late to grow, too late to reach higher. But a woman who inspires you to become a better man reminds you that it is never too late. Not for love, not for greatness, not for life itself. And that is intoxicating. For her and for you. But here's the truth you must hold on to. These words cannot be empty. They must be lived. Because a man who speaks of betterment but remains stuck in old patterns quickly reveals himself. A man who speaks of growth, however, and then quietly, steadily, humbly begins to walk toward it, that man becomes unforgettable. When you say, "You make me want to be a better man," You are not burdening her with the responsibility of your happiness. You are honoring her as a catalyst of your own inner fire. And women, especially women who have learned their worth the hard way, recognize the difference. They do not want to rescue a man. They do not want to fix a man. They want to inspire a man who is already on his own path. A man who sees something in them that lights the next lantern on his journey. And when you say these words, when you live them, you are telling her that she matters, not in a way that flatters the ego, but in a way that reaches the soul. Because at the core of every human being, no matter how many years they have walked this earth, there is a longing to matter, a longing to leave fingerprints on another's story. And when you recognize that she has left fingerprints on yours, when you tell her that her presence moves you toward the man you still hope to become, you are offering her something few ever receive, a place in your becoming, a place in your legacy. But remember, this kind of compliment requires action. It requires you to show her that her presence has indeed stirred something within you. Maybe it's the way you listen more deeply, with more patience and attention. Maybe it's the way you care for yourself with greater respect, because you realize you have more life to live, more memories to make. Maybe it's the way you reach for dreams you thought you had shelved long ago, because she reminded you that it is not too late. Whatever form it takes, let her see it. Let her feel it in the small, quiet ways you move through your days. Because when she sees that her spirit has sparked real change in you, she will feel something profound, a connection that goes far beyond attraction. She will feel meaning, and meaning is what we are all looking for in the end. When you tell her, "You make me want to be a better man," you are not making her responsible for your growth. You are telling her that her presence, her way of being, her strength, her laughter, her fire, all of it reminds you that the best parts of you are still alive, still possible, still waiting to be called forth. And that is a gift most women never even dare to hope for. At this stage in life, it is not about games. It is not about playing small. It is about truth. It is about connection. It is about finding the rare souls who make you remember that life still has more to give, and that you still have more to become. And when you meet such a woman, when you feel that spark, when you find yourself standing a little taller, dreaming a little bigger, living a little deeper because of her, do not let the moment pass. Look her in the eye. Let your voice carry the weight of all your years, all your battles, all your hope, and say it. You make me want to be a better man. Because there is no higher compliment, and there is no greater truth.